Anthony here. I'm the founder of Ehu AI. I'm surprised by how few engineers I've talked to, even in other AI startups, have yet to fully embrace agentic coding tools like Cursor to build new features. And most of the demos I've seen focus on vibe coding new applications from scratch rather than real-world use cases like adding a new feature to an existing application. Today I'm going to show you how to use Ehu AI and Cursor together to quickly implement a new feature. So Ehu AI is an AI native writing workspace for teams and individuals, and we'll start in Ehu AI to create our requirements document. One feature I need to implement is the ability to search for documents. This is table stakes, and I've been getting requests for this for a while, and it's been a pain point for me as well, so let's quickly get it added this afternoon. So I already have my new document here, and I'm simply going to brain dump the functionality I'm looking for into the generate document form. You can also do this in the chat interface as well with the Ehu AI assistant, but that is better if you want to collaborate and flesh out your ideas before generating the document. Next, since I have all my product and feature documents already in Ehu AI, it makes it easy to quickly attach the context required for the requirements document. I'm going to select the lean requirements template I created. It's like a standard product requirements document, but much more focused on the context that Cursor will need to build out the feature. Now I'm going to have it generate my requirements document. This should be pretty quick, but it will think through the draft before generating it. Okay, so it's just finished generating. I'm going to read it through, make some tweaks here and there, and then we'll move on to the next step. Now that I have my requirements document fleshed out, I'm going to have Cursor create a system design for me. Having it create the system design first allows me to double check the work in advance, ensure it covers all the functionality, and that it follows the project's patterns, just as I would with a human system design. I have a prompt saved in the project that contains all the instructions on how I want it to create my system designs. Basically, it'll think through the requirements, search through the project, identify the files that need to be changed, and break down the work into a handful of tasks that can be executed one at a time. This also creates a save point in case the model loses its effectiveness and you need to restart the chat. The task list essentially acts as a save state. So in the chat here, I'm going to ask it to follow this process and give it the task breakdown prompt to create a system design for the following requirements. And I'm going to paste in the copied requirements document in Markdown. I'm going to select 03. This will cost about 30 cents, but it'll take its time and think through what's needed and will generally require less iteration on my part on the system requirements. So that took about 2 minutes. I generally use all the downtime to work on other requirements documents. I also do chores, do some reading, prep for dinner. Cursor does have a preview for running this process in the background that I still need to try out, but that will allow you to run a few of these in parallel and basically have a bunch of agents working for you at the same time. So just like the requirements document, I'll review this and tweak anything that gets wrong. If something is majorly off, I'll refine my Cursor project rules or the requirements document for more clarity and just rerun the whole process. Okay, so got about 90% of the way there. I'm going to make a few adjustments. Particularly, I want it to start with the UI first and the storybook story, and then work its way back from there. This will also be something I'm going to tweak in my Cursor rules and in the task breakdown process, just to make sure it does that going forward. Now that the system design is cleaned up, I'm going to use another saved process prompt to execute the first task in the design by pulling in the system design and the process prompt. I'll check in after each task is complete and tweak the work and provide any feedback. Given that this is a UI feature, I'll likely have to make some manual tweaks or provide some feedback polishing it. For the rest of this video, I'm just going to do a time lapse through the execution phase, which consists of me running the process prompt to execute one of the tasks in the system design. It'll stop once it's done with that one task. I'll review its work and then proceed to have it execute the next task and then do any fine tuning along the way. So it's been about 30 minutes of back and forth with a few breaks, but now I have a good initial version with all the functionality I was looking for. I can search for documents, I can create documents, I can search for templates. This wasn't a complex feature, but I completed about 1/3 of the time that it would have taken me without the agent doing most of the heavy lifting. As coding agents get better, that number is sure to come down. Now is a good time to experiment, tweak your workflow. Most of what I've suggested here process-wise are already best practices for engineering teams, like documentation first, creating and refining requirements documents, doing a system design, executing and reviewing your work in small, meaningful steps, having good test coverage, and using a typed language. If you and your team aren't following these best practices already, now is a good time to start. They were good ideas for engineering teams before LLMs, but now with LLMs accelerating this workflow, there's now even more benefit to do so. To get the most out of agentic coding, just take an iterative approach to creating and refining your cursor rules, organizing the project in a way that makes it easier for the LLM to do the things you want. Also, migrate to using standard patterns and libraries within your project. I spend time every week investing in this as it saves me time by allowing the agent to do more. Anyways, that's all for now. Feel free to reach out if you have any questions about Ehu AI or how to best leverage AI within your team or organization.